Hello, my beautiful teaching family. How are you? Long time no see. Hope you're bearing up okay. And I know some of you started in Scotland and Leicester, and some of us are girding our loins, working ourselves up. It's tough, isn't it? It's all going to be changing, it's all going to be different. But listen, I'm here to help, and we're going to go into partnership. Now, what is the purpose of this live? Well, it is to give you an update, to give you some sort of explanation, because on Monday, the 14th of September, I'm going to be teaching some live lessons. But I can't do it with you guys. I need your kids, I need your children's ideas, I need their wonderful words, but I also need teacherly support for this to live and breathe and actually know. So this is the equivalent of, I suppose, a bit of a staff meeting where I can update you with some sort of prerequisites, little bits of kind of training and such like that we'll need in place for this teaching unit to come to life. Now, just a few things. If you're going to get involved in this, we're going to deliver a unit plan live to a whole host of schools around the country. And those of you who got involved in Super Sentence Stackers, it's slightly different from that because I had to twist up a teaching model because I recognised I couldn't elicit the teachers' help by that point. The schools had already closed, so there was sort of a modified form. So I suppose the purpose of this is to be truer and more closely aligned to some of the principles that I really care about. So what I want to do is train you guys up so that we're on the same page, so that down the line there's that gorgeous interface between what's happening with my teaching and then what actually the learning that is living and breathing, and you're right there with them, and what's happening on that side. Okay, so just a few things, just so you know what's going on. When this kicks off, we're going to be running the hashtag Mrs. C, and I've put that first really because there is no point trying to get children to call me Mrs. Considine. We won't have you won't have a clue, and they won't know how to spell my name. And sometimes they'll need to ask you things. What did Mrs. C say there, or what does she mean? So I'm going to roll with Mrs. C. We're also running the hashtag SOS, which stands for Save Our Sundays, because I want to show you how a unit plan will give you that sort of true skeletal framework to prop you up, but you can still personalise it to make it your own, and it will take the pressure off planning on a Sunday. And we're also going to run the hashtag live lessons. So those are some of the new hashtags that we're chucking out there, so that and actually that's quite important, so that I know we've got different groups and squads and gangs going on, but if you actually want to tap into those teachers, particularly on Twitter, because Twitter is quite good for hashtags, who's with me, who's also, let's say, in year 3, and can I see your independent writing, can I see your books, so that we can have that sort of very tailoring, rather than just the people who are commenting. It's the people who are living it as a sequence of teaching over time. So it gives you a chance to meet the community. Now, the other thing to say, I don't know how long I'm going to chunter on here for, actually, because there's probably some jottings you might want to take if you're going to get involved, so you don't you have that sense of clarity. But it's going to be left on YouTube, so you can re-watch it. But I'm also going to let you know, Ian is here. So I know you know Mr. C. Ian, can you introduce yourself? Because I know there'll be certain things that I forget to say, and it is much better answering those questions.
Hello. Yeah, I'm just had a couple of little gremlins already. I'm just going to quickly rearrange myself a little bit. I'm a little bit out of focus, but c'est la vie. So yeah, I'm going to be interjecting in Jane because she's no doubt going to forget bits. So we're going to work together on this, and I'm presuming everybody can hear me okay and everything. So I'm going to pop you back to Jane, and I'm going to interject as time goes by, Jane.
Okay, so we're trying to explain this sort of UK-wide and beyond phenomenon. You know, we've had a go at doing it before broadly, but we're hoping this will have more sort of principles laced into it that are aligned to sort of that integral part around teaching and learning. Now, what is the purpose of this update? Well, truly, it is about clarifying principles, and more than that, helping the children get trained on kind of a shape of a lesson so that it's slick and we clarify the approach. And this approach is going to be that sort of genuine sense of, I suppose, atomizing, taking, you know, when amazing teaching and learning is happening, it's about orchestrating all of the skills all at once. And what we're going to try and do here is really break it down, all of those sort of systems and routines that aren't necessarily easy, but it will then mean that there's much more certainty with the kids in the mix. You know, we've done a lot of chatting. You see, what's happened? Right, okay, rewind. What has happened so far? I've met some of your kids during super sentence stacking where they've logged on separately from you. You know, their parents might be there or they might not be there, and we've had a go at modelling some of the principles. Then you and me, as kind of trainer and teacher, have done a lot of preparatory chat, CPD, about some of the things I really care about with writing. But this is the first time actually we have everything in the mix, which is you and the knowledge you've acquired about right stuff, and then the kids, because kind of we need kids there for learning to happen. So this is going to be that magical moment where we put our thinking in action and we're also training the kids up. So this is going to be sort of that beautiful interface where we can begin to model very clearly some of the things that really do. You know, nothing I talk about is new, but that sharpening, that writer's expertise. So this partnership, we are going to roll this out from broadly year 2 to year 6. And who is it for? It's for all schools in England. And if you're in Scotland, that will be from P3 to P7, primary 3, primary 7. So it's that age group. Now, the dates that it's happening, it starts on Monday, the 14th of September. You get me live until Wednesday, the 30th of September, which means that's a total of 13 days, but there are 4 days that you don't get me. And those 4 days, well, I say days, but please read into that as lessons, 13 English lessons, and you'll get me live, beamed into your classrooms for 9 of those days. And those 9 days we're calling the sentence stacking days. So I will be there for an hour on those days teaching the kids. Yeah? there are 4 days where I'm not going to be there. And those 4 lessons are the experience lessons. And for this to work, I need you guys to take control of those 4 experience lessons. Now, those 4 experience lessons are going to land on these dates: the 14th of September, the 17th of September, the 23rd of September, and the 25th of September. And that is where you, your kids, your class are going to make those immersion, memorable moments really come to life. And I need to trust you that you're going to do those bits so that I can trade off on those ideas on the subsequent lessons. So let's now do a bit of sort of procedural thinking about kind of getting ready for the 14th of September. So prior to the 14th of September, so any time now, what I want you to do is go to www. In fact, I'm going to write that down. So this is the website, www. Considine, I'm sorry my surname is such a mouthful, .com. Log on there, you'll get a landing page that looks like this. I want you to click on here, English Unit Plans here, and when you click on it, for $24.99 you get annual access to, we're just shy of 100 plans, and we will be at 100 on around the 1st of September. We're just shy of that, but there are, you'll have for £25 access to 100 plans. Now, within that,
individual access.
Yeah. Okay, so essentially now, then the next thing I need you to do is find the year 4 plans, and I want you to be a bit loose about this. I don't want you to think, well, I actually want to get involved in this, but I teach in year 5, or I teach in year 6, or I teach in year 2. Please, please have a bit of a flexible mind about that, because even though you're with us in the Big Teaching family, you've got to see the purpose of this is about training your kids up on the right stuff approach. And remember, it will be personalised because of the language, the jotting and the collecting that is happening in your class that will be tailored for your children. So it will be differentiated by all the gorgeous words and collections that are happening in your room. So I want you to download Feast, and that is going to be your Bible for the 14th of September onwards. Prior to the 14th, I want you to just read it and become familiar with it. Mr. C, are there any comments? Are there any questions at this moment?
Yes, let me put my sound on.
Yeah, do it.
Sorry, I've been walking away because there was a lorry outside just as we started filming, just revving his... Anyway, so, yeah, there's a couple of questions. We're getting some questions about, is this going to be available after the live session? So, if the 10:30, so this is going to be a 10:30 start. We were going to do 9:15. We changed to 10:30 because we spoke to a few different people with staggered start times and staggered breaks. The most obvious choice for the 1 hour session was between 10:30 and 11:30. So that's where we put it. Now it will be, that video will remain on YouTube for the day. So if you are going to do it after lunch, or you want to do it at different times during the day, or 10:45 or whatever, that's going to remain on YouTube for that day. It's going to then come off of YouTube, but we're going to hold it on janeconsidine.com within. So if you, these sessions are there for those people who have bought into Jane's Right Stuff training online. So they're going to be held in perpetuum as a bonus product to. So if you're one of those people who have bought the Right Stuff online training, which there's thousands of you, So you're going to have access to these. So if you can't access it at that stage, you can access it at any time after the first day. So I've had a couple of people comment now over the different forums saying we are going to, we got something planned for that period of time. This is so really, if you haven't got the online training, so it's different to the English unit plans. Remember, you haven't got the online training, then that is how you're going to be accessing these videos thereafter. Okay. All right, I'm going to put you back now, Jane. So you carry on, and then I'll keep my open for other questions.
Okay, so I am now going to talk through guiding principles, and in particular, I'm going to talk about things that I would need you to set in motion in terms of slicking up routines and procedures and certain things kids will need to know before the teaching will be the most productive it can be. Certain things I need you to do during the session, and then what I need you to do after the session. So this partnership is going to be most purposeful. If there's certain things, and I'm hoping these aren't too onerous, and I hope these are all going to be highly useful, and there's just certain things we just need to just have clarity around for this to be as productive as it can be. Okay, so I am now going to move to certain prerequisite requirements before the 14th. Okay, now of course, if you are going to be accessing it during as part of the Jane Considine sort of Right Stuff training, there's sort of no timeline. Then you can get them ready for as whenever you want, and then live that tour experience, at a convenient time. Yeah, okay. So before, what I need you guys to do for me is ensure the children know about the writing rainbow, that they know about it, they know it's organised in 3 tiers, they are introduced to the fantastics and know about the 9 ideas for writing, and they have this sort of broad understanding that there are lenses on the grammar tier, and teachers might ask them to do particular things with grammar. That might be something like a short sentence, or it might be using adjectives. So there's this sense, there's a grammar tier, and that also they don't need to know the specifics in a lot of detail, but there's also a technique tier, that actually a teacher might ask you to do alliteration or simile. Now, I don't want you to feel that you can't get involved if your kids are working in year 3 and they don't know about personification, because that is, 1, really, really challenging anyway, and 2, on all the little learning chunks, I will ensure kids will know exactly what they have to do. But there's just this sense that they know there's a structure out there, and it's called the writing rainbow. And that would be really useful to me. And if you want to find out more about that, remember, a good place to go is go and find the free action plan for implementing the right stuff. We've got guidance on there, we've got steps. Okay. So it's what is the writing rainbow, and children have this sense that they can navigate it, and we might actually lay it out on the floor if you've got the big writing rainbow symbols, and we can play almost a twister where they jump on it and they can explain it. Can they give an example? Begin to talk about it. We enjoy it when we meet with it. It's all very positive, and that kind of informal familiarisation. I mean, I don't think we have to be that hard and fast to the rules of Twister, but you get my drift. We jump on it, we talk about it, we chat about it, and we begin to use, and I know a lot of you have been working really hard over the summer with kind of author examples of, we begin to share them, talk about them, and explore them. Okay, so I need your help in that. Okay. The second thing I need you to do before this can work well is that children will understand that when we're working with writing lessons, and we're going to call it a sentence stacking lesson, that it's going to have learning chunks. And that when Mrs. C works with us, she's going to be working with 3 learning chunks. Now, within that, children specifically have to be really familiar with these terms because I'll be using them with them. So I'm just going to assume they're going to know them. So then obviously many of them aren't going to know them. So I need your help to train them up for me. So the 2 really crucial bits of terminology that kids need to be tuned into. Number 1, chotting. So that is when I'm going to actually ask them to chot. I want them to chat and jot. I want them to be in a situation where, and I know we're going to be doing social distancing, but we still want them, even with social distancing in place, to turn to their friends. And I know they're going to have to project a little bit more. It's not going to be the shoulder to shoulder stuff, but they will have somebody that they are talking to and gathering their ideas. Now, I know that's going to be noisy for you guys, but we're going to let it go. Then they're going to know who their talking partner is, and we want them to talk to their friends and jot down. Okay? We might need to do a lot of work around how loud they need to be so their friend can hear them, can't get too shouty, that sort of stuff. And then the other thing that's going to be a crucial part of this lesson, and I need you as my teaching professional friend here, I'm going to say very pinpointedly in these lessons, and now your teacher is going to do some kind calling out, and we're going to put a timer on. Now, these timers that we're going to be using for kind calling out, they are not going to be long. So I'm going to let you know that as a teacher. I am going to, when it's kind calling out, depending on what we're collecting, I'm either going to be running things like 20-second timers, 30-second timers, or 40-second timers. So you can see that is quite pacey. But I'll also let you know as a teacher. So your teacher is now going to do some kind calling out with a 20-second timer. And then it's literally going to go to tick, 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 countdown mode. And it's where you are opening up the floor. And if I've asked them to collect adjectives to describe the rain, you are going to field their answers where they're going to go grey, heavy, and you're going to collect their ideas as they shout them out. Then they're going to, yes, Mr. C, go put your camera on now because so people can hear you. Yeah.
I've got an initiate demo video here that lasts for a couple of minutes that explains what the kind calling out is. Do you want to see that, or do you just want to carry on?
Oh no. What's he trying to mix? He's trying to be all flash. Stop being flash, Mr. C. Calm down. Everyone gets it. So it goes a bit like this. I am going to demonstrate some words, and then I'm going to ask children to chot. Then it's going to come back to me, and then I'm going to ask you as a teacher to kind call out. I'm going to let you know how long the timer is. The kids will see it on the screen as well. And then when time is up, time is up. What I will then do is show my words, and I'll give them an opportunity to audit their list and add to their list. Okay, so I hope that's okay. I hope you get that. Good. And this is another requirement. This is about book layout. If anything, in my mind, everything else might be a bit messy around the edges, but we will manage. But this is the bit that we won't manage in terms of it working slickly if this is not in place. So when I talk about book layout, this is really important. The most important thing about book layout is that prior to the lesson, on the left-hand side, they have put in 2 lines like this to break their thinking side into 3 learning chunks. Okay, that is without, that definitely needs to happen. And the other thing that definitely needs to happen, when I say, I want you to chop now on thinking side, learning chunk 1, they know exactly where I mean. So I want them to be really familiar with what these spaces are called in their books, and I need your help with that, if that makes sense. Yeah? So I need them to understand how I'm going to navigate them around their books. So I'm going to say, on your thinking side, I want you to jot now, and they're going to make notes here. Yeah? So that is really crucial. And I would also like you to give them a bit of a practice at working these books at pace. So it's the idea of give them a bit of a practice with a 20-second timer and a 30-second timer and a 40-second timer. And you're using the terminology like learning chunk 1, jotting, thinking side. So they're becoming used to what you mean by that, because we don't want that language to get in the way. Yeah. I am always in this teaching going to model, and I always call that almost like me modelling on the spine of the book. And another way I want you to train the children for writing side is that they don't leave gaps. So I know some schools write a sentence, then leave a gap, then write the next sentence down here. I don't want you to do that. It's almost whenever there's a full stop, I want the next sentence to follow snugly. So a lesson based around a plot point will build a paragraph. Yeah? Okay, and then here's just another example. This is an example actually this is me trying to explain it, but can you see how we have thinking side, we've got the mini writing rainbow there as a nice reference point for the children. These are all feeling words and ideas about, emotions. Here is all positive dialogue, and we're using both of those ideas to write the sentences over here. Okay, so we go from thinking side to writing side. So books, layout of books, the language of teaching that I'll be using and how that interfaces with how they use the book, I am going to trust you guys that they are familiar with thinking side, writing side, learning chunk 1, learning chunk 2, learning chunk 3, jotting, and kind calling out. All of that terminology needs to be in place so that the learning can fly. Okay. Now, I've already said this, but I'm going to say it again. During those 4 dates where I need you guys to do the experience days, I'm just going to tune you into the gist of those experience days. And when you download your plan, you can read those. I want you to use your imaginations. I want you to be creative. I want you to see those experience days as professional choice. They can be as crazy and as zany as you want. They can be as manageable as you want. And the 4 experience days are essentially these, just so you know. Number 1, the main experience day, even though we're saying we're launching this on the 14th of September, there's this massive launch and I'm not going to be there. because it launches with an experience day. And what I need you to do is bring a puppy in or a dog. I want you to obviously do all the appropriate risk assessments, and we are meeting a dog. We're becoming familiar. We're obviously we need to be certain there's no children who are scared of dogs, and we make appropriate arrangements. We want them to meet a dog, and more than that, because Feast is all about food. We want to even set up situations where we've got cheese, salami, pedigree chum, a cracker, and actually let's have a vote. What do we think the dog is going to choose first? What was the dog's favourite snack? And all that sort of thing. And enjoy, do we have a teacher in our own school who has a dog who's friendly? Do we have any puppies out there? And that's definitely something that does take a bit of organisation, but the trade-off of that is going to be really, really high. Back to you, Missy.
I just want to sort of add to that there's a lot of whole schools doing this. So one of the ideas that Jane and I were talking about earlier on was, you could do it as an assembly. So somebody could bring in a dog, or if anybody's got any little puppies, the children, I've done it myself in the past, will go absolutely wild. But we want to get them engaged in, oh look at this puppy. It's about dogs, but obviously there are children that are allergic to dogs. There's children and adults as well, not just children, but there's people in the school that are scared of dogs. So that's something that you're going to have to think about. But if it becomes impossible to do, of course. When I say assemblies, I mean, within your bubble. So, because of course they won't be doing assemblies, will they? But you could have a dog that goes around on the experience day, because experience day doesn't have to happen at 10:30. So you could have somebody so that they're spending time in each class. But obviously depending on the children. But what you can do is sometimes it means, perhaps finding some YouTube videos to put up, because it's really about, once you read the plan, it's about how dogs and food really. So most people know what a dog is, don't they, Jane? So
most people do, but let's not assume anything, and it's getting that excitement going. Now, the second experience day, these do not run chronologically. We're going to have a food tasting day, because a big part of the film Feast is Winston, the dog, enjoys certain foods that aren't very healthy for him. But it's that whole kind of, let's rank food ourselves between disgusting and delicious. And some of us will find different things, really tasty. So that kind of, just almost that sort of, because we're writing this from Winston, this is all about Winston's view of the world. We're going to have a food tasting day, and that will furnish us actually with all that lovely language about smell and taste that is going to improve our writing. Further down the line, we've got a experience day for them to talk about friendships breaking down, because Winston's owner loses his friend, and we want a lot of those negative emotions. I'm going to, that's a very PSHE experience lesson. And then finally, we were going to, and it doesn't just have to be this, but we thought, that kind of those moments in films, and I'm thinking particularly, Love Actually, where the lad runs through the airport to tell the girl in the school band, that he really likes. So that's sort of those moments in films when sort of somebody decides to do something very drastic, and the fact that that's kind of got running involved. We could look at that Love Actually clip, and then when we look at the clip in the film about kind of that running, racing against the clock, that will yield lots of language of excitement and urgency. So they're all very different. They're all really enticing, and truly, I need your help for that bit. I need you to facilitate those experience lessons for me. There's guidance on the plan that essentially we want them to be memorable and enjoyable, but there'll be kind of a bullet point on most of those experience days, which is our opportunity to rinse and leach language that we can trade off on the following day in our writing. Okay, so those are the 4 experience days, and those I need you to live and breathe and come to life. But I will be around, so I want to see the photos, I want to see the tasting sessions, I definitely want to see the puppies, and keep us updated to how that's going. Now, the other thing I'm going to say about the during that 14th of September, 13-day kind of taught unit, I need you to kind of go in partnership with me around pace. One of the things that happens to me a lot, I'm talking kind of pre-COVID now, where, I'd go in and do modelled lessons in school. A lot of people say to me, God, that seemed to, you seem to kind of put a lot of pressure on kids. It was quite pacey. And I think that is something you're going to notice as well, where actually it's that sort of trying to train them up to come up with ideas quickly. It's almost like, let's just get some things down, nothing has to be perfect, and it's kind of trying to speed them up a bit. But I'm going to need your help with that. And when I say, and now your teacher is going to collect ideas through kind calling out, I need you to be pacey on my behalf, because there'll be something like a 20-second ticker going. And when we come back, you've got your personalised words in your classroom. I've got 6 words on the board. We're going to do something called audit and add. So if you haven't got grey, for example, as a word to describe the rain, but I've got grey, I want children to notice their words. So I want a situation where we've got words in your room, we've got my words that come on the screen, and we're going to go, so kids, audit and add. And I want that sort of quick, which words do you want to add to your thinking side word hoard? But as well, I think we've got to be a bit gentle with each other, because it's going to probably be a bit of a mess lesson, the first sentence stacking lesson. But after that, we'll get, the kids will get used to it. You'll get used to it. I'll get used to it and listen to your feedback, like that was too fast for us, or this, we had too long to do that, and we'll get into the rhythm. Okay. Have a look here. This is really crucial, and this is what I want you to have in the classroom on a sentence stacking day. And just to clarify what I'm showing you here, you are going to mark up a board. It can be a whiteboard like this, or it can be bits of sugar paper pinned on the wall. It can be lining paper. It can be flip charts. I don't mind, don't care in that sense. I do care, but where it happens. But what you're also going to be modelling is thinking side and writing side. Now, the thinking side, so this is learning chunk 1 thinking side, is going to be really personal to the children's kind calling out, plus other ideas that Mrs. C puts in the mix that I want you to add and model that. But then, whilst I'm talking, that's live and living. But the thing that won't be personalised is my model. Now, I am going to model something, and as I am modelling it, I want you also to write it down. Now, why do I want you to write it down? I want you to write it down because my screen will go off, then they'll have me, then they'll have a zoom into something, and I need the model to stay in the classroom. So as I model the sentence, I want you to write it along with me in the room, not talk, but write it along so that they have always got that model in the room. Does that make sense? Mr. C, have you got any questions or anything you want to add?
No, there's a couple of bits. So I think it's just worthwhile clarifying some things. So over the different platforms, there's some different questions coming up. So somebody's asked is, would you recommend using Mrs. Gibbs to chop for the lower ability? Obviously, you're going to have year twos there. Use all adults in any way that you would normally use them would be my response to that. So if your Mrs. Gibbs sits with a particular group, do it exactly as that. I think Jane was in those first couple of days, 3 days of Jane doing this teaching, everybody's getting used to it. So getting that pace right, getting your human resources correct, making sure that it's going to take a little bit of practice, but by the end of this session, not only will everybody have that experience of exactly, all right, this is what we're doing, the children will be much more familiar with the techniques, and then you'll be able to run straight on after that, doing it yourself. I think it's important though that you've got to consider it as team teaching. So Jane is going to be on the screen, you're going to be there physically. So try not to get yourself tied up with a group, because you've got to be in teacher mode. So it's collaborative teaching, part virtual, part real. So you're going to be able to do some bouncing back and forth. We're not going to be able to field questions during those lessons. There's just no time for that, the practicalities of it. But and obviously if you're watching it backwards, it's going to be as if you're watching it live. But that's your role as the teacher in situ. You're going to be filling those gaps, and after the first day or two, I'd say, Jane, it's going to become very obvious, and I think that's a big part of it. But no other questions as far as I can see. Oh yeah, the other question is, are you talking about plot points and displays of plot points and things like that in a minute?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, right,
Hold
yeah.
that for.
Okay, we'll hold that one. I'm going to put it back to you.
Okay, so this is another during little bit of advice. After I model the sentence, then the children will be tasked in their enable on their writing side to construct a sentence. Now, I'm going to judge that in terms of how long I give them. But let me tell you, they are not going to have long. And because this is part of the right stuff, it's almost like we want them to be confident, fluent, kind of having a go. We're not going to kind of sit on something for too long. Now, we're just going to try our best with that, trying to kind of rattle that through a little bit. Now, how long I give them, you will know. So after the model, I'll sort of make a teacherly judgment, thinking, well, actually, there's quite a lot going on there. And I might say, right, I'm going to set you off now for 2 minutes to do your sentence. Now, you've got some children who'll want to really think about it and chat and, and they're doing a bit of live editing and all of that. And there'll be some kids who'll just get that in the back of the net really quickly. However, when the 2 minutes is up, it will be like, back to me, and we'll move on to the next learning chunk, okay? Now, what I need you guys to help me with is that children are used to that sort of, you've only got 1 minute to write a sentence, or 2 or 3. So there's this sense of training that it's going to be quite quick. The other thing we need to happen is, for those kids who are really bright, quick writers, we need to have, during the lessons, now I'm not going to do this, so this is really where I do need your help. We need them trained, and it might not, you might think, actually, this is going to be more useful. I can almost predict which kids this is going to be. So this is going to be these 4 children. but we don't also want to put a ceiling on the learning. So it probably is useful if you give it as a opt-in for all children, that they need to be trained on deepen the moment. Now, deepen the moment, I think, will work best for this sort of global way of working if we say every lesson they have 3 deepen the moment options. So let me show you the sort of thing I mean. So we might say today's deepen the moment challenges are, one from the fantastics is sound, one from the techniques is simile, and one from grammar is a short sentence. Now, they can be on a deepen the moment challenge board for the children that need them. So, however, I don't want deepen the moment to dominate. I want the focus to be on the lesson, on the learning, on the sentences we are on. But we kind of do need that there for the kids who just might need it. But I don't want us to get too sort of hung up on that. So, and it might be that you think, well, actually, I'm not even going to entertain that for the first week. I want everyone just to do what they're doing well, edit it, check the spelling, let's not, and it might think, won't even introduce deepen the moment till we've got the system right for week 1 of Mrs. C in the room, and then week 2, I might introduce deepen the moment. But that is your judgment call. I can't make that decision for you. You might be a school who you're on your 2nd year of Right Stuff, and it's just like, yeah, no bother. You might be doing it for the first time and you just think, oh my goodness, we're getting mind blown. So that you have to judge. But just rewinding it back, if what they will get from me in that lesson, because this links to a question earlier, every time we start a new lesson for feast, what they're going to get from me is, right children, we are on plot point 3. They will know what plot point they're on the map. Now, you can also replicate that with your own map in the classroom. And what we're going to do is before the 14th of September, we're going to share the 9 screen grabs from the film Feast that we're going to lean on. So you can have them as well. So if you want to print them off and put them on your working wall, you can. Do you see what I mean? So you've got your own map. So we're going to show them as a map, but you can also replicate them in your classroom. So particularly through Teacher Squad, but also if you get in touch with us, we are
not to get in touch with us.
Don't get in touch with us. We're going to put
on the training space page, and please don't email us. Please.
Don't email us. Angry.
No, not angry. I'm just saying, please don't email us. We're going to put all information up on the training space. We're currently getting about 800 emails a day at the moment, so please don't ask us for these things. So stop telling people to contact us, Jane. So we're going to put them on the Training Space Facebook page. We'll put them on Jane's Twitter. So make sure you follow Jane, make sure you follow the Training Space, and we'll also put them in the other groups and also in Kai's group, Teacher Squad. So we're going to put them all on there because we are, especially at the minute, obviously everybody's going back to school, we're being inundated at the minute. So please, please, please do not email us, please.
And if you interpreted that as being non-moody, wow, there you go. So, yeah, we're not, I get it, we're not going to email it, but it will be there. So we will screen grab the 9 plot points from that film. We'll let you see them, you can have them, and then you can build your own. Yeah, cool. The other thing, I don't want you to show the kids the whole film, okay? Do not do that because we're going to watch it little bits at a time. So do not show the whole film in preparation for this unit, okay? Because we're going to be working with a slow reveal, okay? We're doing okay. We're nearly there. Right, I just want to say this about deepen the moment. So, for example, if you have 3 challenges up there, then, so this is linked to Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, just so you know what I'm rambling on about. So this is the plot point about the factory. We have modelled alliteration here. So this is all about alliteration. The factory pumped out powerful and pungent perfumes that pervaded and permeated into the entire place. So we've done that, and they're going to have a go at their alliterative description. And then a kid might say, oh, I've finished. And they can still see there's a minute on the timer. If they want to deepen, they've got 3 choices: sound, simile, and short sentence. This kid says, I'm going to deepen using sound. So then they deepen using sound. The tin chimneys clanked and rattled as the air filled with chocolate fumes. However, you've got to remember that is for your really bright, quick writers, and that is your teacherly choice. You might say, we're going to keep it simple. We're going to have Jane teach us, and if they finish and they've got 30 seconds, I'm going to ask them to check their work, reread it, look at the spelling. Do you see what I mean? And it might be deepen the moment happens down the line. So that's your teacher decision. However, if you are going to do it, I want you to do it a little bit like that. So if you are on your second year of Write Stuff, you're saying, my kids know about deepen the moment, there and back again. It's that sort of thing I want you to go for, giving them the challenges of the day. Okay, cool. Yes, Mr. C, any questions?
Will you be showing the video clips, or do we need to have those ready, please?
Right, we are going to show the video clips through the live. We're going to show them, and that means, because we're going to do that, we're going to probably be pulled off by the night. Do you see what I mean?
If we're lucky.
If we're lucky. So, yeah. So this is my final message. I hope you're not feeling overloaded, and I hope you're okay. After the lesson, any work you want me to look at, I love that, and I will read loads of them, and I mean that. I genuinely love that. Send me photos of the books. Hashtag it, live lessons, hashtag Mrs. C. That's the hashtags we're going to be running, and I want to see experience days, I want to see work, I want to see books, and any kids writing that catches my eye, I will comment. You know, it's exciting times. Okay. The other requirement I need from you is to get your hands on some sentence strips that you can get for about 100 for a £5. And when the lesson is over, I'm going to be building the stack from my model, but I want you to choose. Remember, from each learning chunk, you're going to say, I'm going to have Bartek's work from learning chunk 1, I'm going to have Harold's chunk from learning chunk 2, and I'm going to have Esme's work from learning chunk 3. And that is going to make up the lesson and the stack, so that when they come in the next day, you can go, wow, you know, Esme, you're on the stack, and her work is celebrated up there. So we have this big communal feast growing in the classroom. Okay? You'll have mine stack growing, you'll have your stack, and then we can start sharing. We can have a stack off. We can start sharing our feast writing around the country. Okay. Final message. On the last day, I can't blink and remember what the day is now, the last day that I teach.
That's
either you know
it's
Mr.
the Wednesday,
and the day is. He doesn't know.
It's the
Look at him
Wednesday,
trying to be all like, I know it. He don't know it. He always does that. So, but that Wednesday's the last day I am with you guys. And then I need you to take on the independent writing. And this is the sort of thing, we don't want to be too prescriptive about it. Remember, independent writing is about the children's ideas. We do a whole day on independent writing that is the equivalent to kind of 2 hours of training on janeconsidine.com, Write Stuff Training, if you want to know more about independent writing. But broadly, the big ideas that I want us to be talking about here is the sort of things you might do for independent writing is then you watch the credits of Feast and you can see then it's the relationship between Winston and the new baby and the baby growing up, and it's mainly rooted around a birthday party. Their independent writing could be the birthday party. Yeah. The second independent writing idea could be Winston finding another stray dog and how Winston brings another stray dog home into the family. Or another thing that taps on what we've taught them, the new baby, the son, breaks friends and Winston reunites them with some drastic action. We can tap into all that drastic action experience day. Or something really open-ended where we can get them to write another story from an animal perspective. Remember, when they are doing independent writing, we are always clear how many plot points we want them to do. So we might say, we want you to plan a 5 plot point story, or an 8 plot point story, or a 4 plot point story. And the success criteria we give them to write that, if we want them to do a 5 plot point story, we give them 5 success criteria, and that success criteria is taken from the writing rainbow and from the taught unit. So you might think, on reflection, doing Feast, my kids were good at adverbial phrases, good at sound sentences, they were good at alliteration, feeling and repetition for effect. So I want to put them in the best chance to showcase these success criteria in their writing. Yes, Mr. C, was that button saying you're going to flip to you? Is there anything you want to ask me?
No.
That was a highly dramatic pause.
Well,
I'm sure you've got questions.
There's a few points. Shall
Yes.
I go on to...
Shall I?
Yeah.
So there's a few little points that I've been picking up as we're going along, making notes. So have you finished with your waffle now?
How very dare you?
Shall I just reiterate some of the points then?
Yeah.
From a technical point of view, perhaps. Yeah. So, in summary, we're going to be transmitting this in the same way that we do these. So it's going to go on YouTube, and it's going to be happening through all of the usual Facebook outlets. So that's the Training Space page. If you're involved in any of our other groups, so if you're one of the Write Stuff online training people, you'll remember that group, or the unit plan people, you'll remember that group, etc. So they're going to be happening at 10:30. There's been a couple of people that have asked about times. So I mentioned earlier, we decided for 10:30 because it's the most common time for people that have got sort of staggered starts, staggered breaks. Somebody else has asked if it's pausable. Yes, I think if you're watching it on YouTube, you can pause it and then start it again. You might want to practice, I don't know, perhaps looking at this one, see whether you can pause and start, because you don't want to miss any bits. I'm not 100% sure about that, but check it beforehand. Don't be getting to the sort of like the first writing chunk, learning chunk. You will find, in actual fact, when they come to do their own writing on those first couple of days, they probably won't, be able to keep up with Jane, but after a couple of days they will. And so I wouldn't worry too much about those little bits at the beginning. The other thing that you are going to have to check is speak to your IT people at school, because lots of schools will go off and they'll say you can't use YouTube or you can't use Facebook. So we've looked at other ways around it. We have not seen that. So that's something that we're asking that you go and do that yourselves. And just to reiterate that these are going to stay on YouTube during that school day. So if you're doing your lesson later on, you'll be able to start it, but they are coming off at the end of the school day. So if you have your lesson before 9:30, before 10:30, your options are to change your English lesson, or you know, purchase if you haven't already, the right, because remember they are going into as a bonus product to the Right Stuff online training, like with all the other bonuses that we've put up over the last few weeks. So, is there anything else, Jane, that I need to say, or shall I just put it back to you? If we haven't covered anything, we will be putting extra bits in on the Facebook groups over the next sort of couple of weeks. But I think that using that week beginning the 7th of September to prepare your class with the terminology, because a lot of you are going to be coming to this for the first time. There's obviously lots of schools that have already been using Jane's systems in school. Don't get too tied up in trying to teach them, oh look, this is what personification means. That Jane will be teaching all of those things in context. So don't be sort of like expecting them to know what every single lens means, but do present to them the fact that they are going to be learning through the lenses. Do talk about the writing rainbow. You don't have to go into the minutiae detail. Do talk to them about how their books are going to be laid out. Do practice with them what trotting is. You know, get them going in so that you can work out what is an acceptable level. They've got to be talking, but you don't want them to be going wild. Do work out with them what the kind calling out is. That's going to be really, really helpful when it comes to Jane teaching it, because obviously she's got no interaction with the children. She's not dealing with any behaviour management. You don't want to be disrupting Jane's lesson because, you know, little Johnny is sort of like getting overexcited. They're going to get overexcited the first couple of days. That's fine. But what you want to be doing is getting them ready for all of these little bits in the week before. So part of your recovery curriculum can be, right, okay, we're changing the way in which we're teaching writing, our writing lessons. So this is us getting ready for that. Okay, I'm going to put you back to Jane because she's giving me the look.
Okay, so we're going to love and leave you. Your first job is go and download this unit, Feast, from, so this is what it looks like. It's based on the film Feast.
Can we see the whole screen?
Yeah, you got the whole screen.
Yeah, sorry.
Read it. He's grumpy, isn't he? Yeah, read it, become familiar with it, particularly earmark the experience days, because that's kind of all pressure on you guys. But I am going to then pick up and bring these sentence stacking lessons to life. And I think we're going to have a lot of fun. And more than that, I think we're going to actually have highly purposeful writing where there's going to be a lot to celebrate and share. So enjoy this last little moments if you're not back at school yet. If you are already back, I will see you. I actually won't see you on the 14th, but I'm hoping my inbox will blow up with puppy pictures, and if not, I'm going to be very disappointed. So the first day you'll actually see me is on the 15th of September at 10:30 for our first sentence stacking lesson together. Thank you, everybody, and